welcome to my shop. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you 5 sets of 5 items, and each of these items comes with its own abilities or powers that it grants to you. So what you're going to do is for each set, you are going to choose one out of the 5 that you think best fits your needs, and then we'll move on from there. So let's start with some earrings. These are all made for pierced ears, but they can be fitted to clip-on, so don't worry about that. And they are all quite aesthetically different. However, while that is a factor in your decision, I think that as an adventurer through life, you might want to choose based on the ability rather than the appearance. Unfortunately, the two cannot be separated, but of course, ultimately the decision is yours. So if you don't like how something looks and you want to choose a different one for that reason, regardless of the power, that is up to you. So let's start with this pair of earrings. These are pancakes with syrup and butter on them. I have 2 of them here. It's hard to see where my webcam is. Okay. So I have 2 of them here. There is also a little heart bead that goes above the pancake, and that can just help demonstrate perhaps your love of pancakes. So the power that comes with this pair of earrings is that you will always be able to have the perfect last word in an argument. So instead of thinking of that response, 2 hours or 2 days later when you're in the shower, you will be able to think of a really clever response when you're talking to the person. A really important caveat here is that this does not mean that you will be better at communication. And what I mean by that is that it's not always necessarily good to just win an argument and have a clever retort. Sometimes it's important to hear the other side. So in this, if you are wearing these and you use their power, you will be able to make your point really clearly and cleverly if you want to. You will be able to think of good counter arguments to the person you're arguing with. But you might be in a situation where it's better to just apologize and hear the other person out than it is to win the argument. So again, that's the power that comes with these little pancake earrings. They allow you to win an argument. So let's move on to the next pair of earrings. These are rainbow earrings, and the power that these come with is making you really good at trivia. So yes, that means that you'll be really good in bar trivia games, and that can be fun. I know that some people think that isn't satisfying if the power comes from something outside of yourself rather than your innate knowledge. But another way to think about this is that these make you really good at retaining trivia in general. So you're not going to suddenly know everything that you've never heard before in your life, but watched a TV show and seen the credits, you'll now find that that information about who was in the show and when it was made and all of that is going to stick in your head if you're the sort of person who doesn't usually remember those things. And that also applies to like scientific facts about when a certain scientist was born or when something was invented. But I will note that the power is specifically about trivia, and it does sort of determine that for itself subjectively. So that means that you can't use this to become like the best lawyer by memorizing every law that's on the books. Except for the normal means, like if you really committed yourself, you could do that regardless, right? But that would be really, really hard. But because that's not trivia per se, more just knowledge, the earrings will not help with that. But if it is something like the capital of every state, that's sort of kind of useful but more trivial, these are going to make that memorization a lot easier, in the sense that if you've ever learned that as a kid already, it will just come back to you. Okay, so that's the second one. They're the rainbows, and they are for making you good at trivia. Okay, let's take a look at these third ones, kind of in a similar vein in that they are related to the weather and they are colorful. So these are little cloud earrings with kind of little colorful raindrops on them. And the power that comes with these is that any piercing or tattoo that you get is going to heal pretty much instantly. So obviously some people really like getting tattoos and piercings, and maybe you've always wanted a nose ring or a lip ring and you've been too afraid of it getting in the way and not healing. So with the power of these earrings right here, you are going to have any piercing or tattoo heal right away. And I will note, although these can be converted to clip-ons, the power would apply if you got your ears pierced to wear these earrings specifically. That piercing itself would heal immediately. So that applies to anywhere on the body, and there's not really too many downsides to this one, although I guess if you're an impulsive person, maybe it would lower the barrier even more and you might get tattoos without thinking too much about them. There is no power related to tattoo removal and that not being painful, so keep that in mind. Actually, in fact, one more caveat is that when you do get the piercing, it is still going to hurt, and same with the tattoo. So the actual action will hurt, but it will also heal within like 5 minutes. No scars, just completely healed. Okay, so let's move on to our fourth pair. I'm not sure these are going to show up well on my webcam, but I'm going to try. This is a pumpkin and a candy corn. These are a mismatched set, so they are not meant to match with each other in being the same image. However, they do go with each other thematically for Halloween or for the fall. And I suppose that is a consideration that they are fall themed, because if you want to wear these year round for the power, and if you really care about those things, maybe you would like something more perennial. Anyway, the power of these earrings is that if you are applying for a job, you know how you sometimes see that message that says, please enter the information on your resume, and you're like, why do I have to do this? I already entered this information. Now I have to copy it over for no reason. What these are going to do is they are going to automatically fill in that information. And I don't mean like an AI form. I mean like they're actually going to do it correctly the first time, every time. If you just upload your resume, they will fill it in perfectly in all the correct fields with no redundancies. And that also applies to things like doctor's forms, kind of like autofill on Google, but it will do it perfectly every time. If you've ever filled out a certain information for anything, it will fill it in again. So like you'll never have to write your birthday, phone number, address unless it changes, and then only once. Nothing is stored anywhere. This is purely a magic. So this is not something that can be used by someone else to impersonate you, even if they were to be stolen. That person would get that power for themselves, but they would not have access to your information. Now, let us move on to our last pair, and that is these dangly earrings, kind of geometric shapes. And the power associated with these is that you will always be making the perfect level of eye contact with someone that they are comfortable with. So if you are a really intense person who tends to make too much eye contact, then the person you are speaking to will perceive that as less, the perfect friendly amount for them. Likewise, if you are a person who is not good at making eye contact, then this will make it appear as if you are doing it whatever the socially comfortable amount is for the people you are talking to. And even if you're in a group, that is going to apply to every person individually, so you will look slightly different to every person based only on how much eye contact they would like you to be making. And this also applies on things like Zoom calls, so it will look like you're looking right into the camera to the degree that the recipient wishes you were. So everything in each group is mutually exclusive, so you will have to choose one of these, and I will just run through them for you one more time. So if you remember, the first pair was these pancake earrings, and that makes you have the perfect answer in any argument, okay? The second was these rainbows, and that made you really good at trivia. The third was these colorful rain clouds, and these make any tattoo or piercing heal instantly. The fourth was these fall-themed earrings. And these make you never have to repeat information in an online form or any form. I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you are writing by hand, that will also be filled in automatically through magic. And finally, there are these dangly ones, and these are going to make you make the appropriate level of eye contact for the person that you're talking to. So, which of those do you think that you'll go with? That is a really great decision. Yeah, I know it's so hard, but I think you made a